right, so I'm back with another bulb expert for our Q&A series. Today I have Marjolein with me. Here at Dutch Mill, we are going to offer over 100 varieties of tulips. So I thought it would be fun to talk about tulips, the basics, and Marjolein is with Leo Berbee Bulb, our wholesale division, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our bulbs come from Leo Berbee. They come straight from Holland, so we are excited to talk about tulips. So tulips are probably one of the most popular spring blooming flowers. I would say the hardest part about tulips is the selection, because planting them is easy.
Yes.
And when we have so many to offer, how do you choose which one? So let's talk the basics. So you've made your challenge of picking the selection. Where and when do we plant the tulips?
Okay, so obviously tulips are a must-have for your spring garden. I love tulips, I love tulip bulbs, I love bulbs in general, but when making your selection, you want to make sure that you have a designated place to plant your bulbs. So you want to make sure that it is in well-drained soil. Bulbs do not like a lot of moisture or clay. Another thing to keep in mind is maybe planting them in more of a sunny location or afternoon sun. So those are kind of your key things to think about. And again, one of the main things is making sure you have a designated place for them.
All right, so we've picked our spot. How deep should we plant these tulip bulbs?
Okay, so on average, we would say about 6 inches. If you have critters in your area, they generally give up after digging for about 4 inches. So we would say about 6 inches deep is a good depth. That also gives the soil the temperature that it needs. They like to be on the cooler side during the winter months, so we say about 6 inches.
Okay, and then can you plant, some people dig a single hole per bulb, or can you dig one big hole? Like, do they need a spacing?
Yeah, there's some things to keep in mind. Like if you're doing a path up your sidewalk, you want to generally have like a nice row of them and maybe some shorter varieties. If you're doing it to a backdrop of your home, you want maybe some taller varieties. And we generally say it looks really nice if you do them in clumps of 8, 10, or 12 in a single pocket.
I agree. That's how I do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we dug our holes, we planted them in, we've put the soil on top. Now what?
So generally say that you want to plant these in October, November time. I've even gone as far as going into December. As long as you can still get into the ground, you want your soil temperature to be on the cooler side when planting. So making your selection in September is perfect, but waiting to plant until maybe after your mum season.
Oh yeah, sometimes we say between Halloween and Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Is the best time to plant your bulbs because the temperature's right, the soil's cooled down. Yeah, so again, here's where it's easy. So we've dug our hole, we've planted the bulb, you water it in one time, and then you walk away. And you don't even think about it again.
For months.
Until all of a sudden in the spring, you'll start to see them come up. And it's great. So it's literally dig, fill the hole, forget about it.
Dig,
drop, done.
Drop, done.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. Dig, drop, done. Let's fast forward. We've done the hardest part, which is planting.
Which is super fun for kids.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think anyone is intimidated by the bulb because they're like, what do I do with it? And then I have to wait. I don't understand. There's no instant gratification. But once you see them coming up, especially the kids.
Yeah, you're going to be the talk of the town because you're going to have something.
Yeah, so excited. Okay, so they've bloomed. They're in your garden. Then what do I do?
So we recommend that if you are looking to perennialize them and have them come back the following year, don't cut the foliage off. That is probably key. When a bulb produces a flower, it's losing half of its size. And in order for it to rejuvenate again, you want to make sure that you leave everything intact and just naturally let it die back. And we can talk about maybe interplanting.
Yes, that's on our next series.
Okay.
So stay tuned for our next series. We'll talk about cross planting, because if you're like me, it's so hard to keep the foliage because it doesn't always look as pretty, but there's some ways you can cross plant things so you don't see the foliage and you can let it die back so that your bulb regenerizes and comes back next year, because tulips should come back 5 to 7 years. So it's a great investment. So, all right, awesome. Thank you,
Yep.
Tulips. Also, when you're in the store, don't forget we have these little cards. So this will also give you what we have, tips and tricks on tulips. So thanks.
Full seeds.